Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Canvas Training for Students webinar. My name is Ginny McGee, and I am the instructional designer in our e-learning division here at Camden County College. And today I am going to show you how to access your courses in Canvas. We'll walk through how to log into the portal. I'll take you through how to access the content for your courses, submit assignments, take tests, and there will be plenty of time for questions at the end as well. So before we take a look at Canvas, I want to go over a couple of things. So we're going to start with the browsers and systems that work best with Canvas. So Canvas works with most browsers, but Chrome is the one that's recommended by the people at Canvas. That's what we generally use in the e-learning division. But if you prefer Firefox or Edge, those two will work just fine as well. We do recommend keeping your browsers up to date for the best results. If you are still using Internet Explorer, you will need to use it to download a different browser because Internet Explorer is no longer supported with Canvas. And if you are a Mac user, we don't recommend using Safari with Canvas. You could use it and have no issues, but sometimes things do not load correctly, or you might not be seeing what you're supposed to be seeing. And so we just recommend downloading Chrome onto your Mac product. It'll work just fine, and just use Chrome whenever you're using Canvas. If you want to keep up with your courses on a mobile device, there is a Canvas app for both iPhone and Android. So whatever app store you use, just search for Canvas Student and you will find the app. We don't recommend doing things like taking tests or submitting assignments through the app, but it is good for keeping up with your courses, keeping up with communications from your instructors, seeing your grades, those types of things. So let's look at how to access Canvas. You should have gotten an email at the email address that you used when you enrolled from our Office of Information Technology that looks something like this. You'll need to first click on the link to set up your student email account using the email address provided to you in the email. Follow the directions provided. Here's the format for the temporary password that you'll use, and then you'll be prompted to set a password of your own choosing. After you've set up your student email account, go back to the email from OIT and click on the link for the MyCCC passwordless portal instructions. So the MyCCC portal is now passwordless, which means that instead of putting in a password to access your courses, you'll just need to put in the username that was provided to you in the email that was sent to you by OIT, and you'll go to the Camden County College homepage, which is camdencc.edu, and click on the MyCCC portal link in the upper right corner. When you do that, you'll be taken to a screen that looks like this, and you'll put in that username that OIT provided you and click enter, and then it's going to ask you which authentication factor you want to use. When you're first getting logged in, you'll have to choose email because that's the only one that you'll have set up. And you will see your student email address listed as your primary. When you click on that, you'll need to go to your student email account to get the code that was given to you. So it's telling me this is my code here. And you have a minute to put in the code. If you don't make it in a minute, you'll have to request another code. After you successfully access the MyCCC portal for the first time, you can click on your name in the upper right corner and click My Account, and that will pull up your preferred verification settings. So from here, you could add an additional email address. You can set up your phone to put in your phone number and have texts sent to you with the code instead, which is the one that I prefer. Or you could choose to set up an authenticator, Google or Microsoft or Twilio, and use that instead. It's recommended that you keep none as your preferred factor because then you'll have the option of which one you want to use every time you access the portal. And then from the quick launch page, you'll be able to click on Canvas to access your courses. If you do have any trouble getting logged in, You can contact the help desk. There's a couple of ways that you can contact them. Here are their phone numbers and their email addresses. Of course, you can get this information on our webpage as well, but I like to provide it here in case anyone needs it. So before we look at Canvas itself, I do want to mention the First Day Textbook Program. So maybe a third, maybe more now of our courses at Camden County College are part of the First Day Textbook Program. What that means is that you pay for your textbook as part of your tuition cost. And then that book or the course materials are available for you the first day of class in Canvas. So we get a lot of questions about this. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that means you probably are not enrolled in a first day program. If you were, you would get a notification if you register online, or they would let you know if you register in person on campus that it is a first day course. But chances are, even if you're not taking a first day course now, if you're here in future semesters, then you may come in contact with this at some point. So I do want to just show you how you will access your first day materials. When you click on your course in Canvas, you will see this first day course materials tab over on the left-hand side of the screen if it is a first day course. And when you click on that, you will see the name of the text, the author, and you will see that you have opted in because everyone is automatically opted in when they sign up for a first day course. You will also see an opt out button that you could click on if you wanted to opt out of first day. We don't recommend doing that in most cases because then you wouldn't have access to the text. And also some online texts have online activities that go with them, but you will see that there. And then from here, it's going to look different depending on who the publisher is and how the instructor is using that first day material. So in this case, this is a read now button here that you may see when you click on the first day course materials. This would just take you right to the e-textbook if you do see the read now button in the first day tab. If you don't see a read now button, then that means that you would have to go elsewhere to access the book. So in some cases, you might have to click on a different tab like MH Connect or My Lab and Mastering to access your book. And then in other cases, like with Wiley Books, you'll see the actual links to the chapters or the sections in the course itself. So it can look different. So how do you know? Your instructor will let you know how you will access your text. So there should be some type of information on accessing your first day course materials or directions for registering in the course. So just make sure that you look for that. And if you have any questions about it, you can contact your instructor, or you can also contact us at eLearning, and we can usually point you in the right direction. And then one more thing that I want to mention is that in your courses, you may find that your instructor requires you to use Respondus Lockdown Browser and Monitor for your online exams. Not all courses use this, and not all instructors that do use it for all the exams. So it depends on your instructor. But what Lockdown Browser is, it's a custom browser. Chrome is a browser, Firefox and Edge are browsers. This is a separate browser that you would have to use whenever you're taking a test that requires it. And what it does is lock down the testing environment. So it's going to not allow you to open any other tabs on the device that you're using to take the online exam. And there is another component that instructors can use that will record you as well. And so it's a academic integrity tool to help deter cheating. If you have a course or a quiz that uses this, you will be notified by your professor with instructions to follow. And again, if you have problems with this, or if you've got questions, problems installing it, you can always contact us, and I will share our email address at the end of the webinar. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Canvas now. Okay, so when you click on the Canvas icon in the MyCCC portal, you will be taken to your Canvas dashboard, and it will look something like this. By the way, I am using a fake student account today to show you, so it's not anyone's actual account, but it does look similar to what you will see in your own student account. When you click on your dashboard, you will see at the very top the Canvas Training for Students video. And this video contains pretty much the same information that I am sharing with you today. This was a recording of an earlier webinar that I did. So if you feel like you missed any part of this or you need a refresher, you can always watch that video for the same information. So we're going to start over here on the left-hand side. This is called the Global Navigation Bar. And I'm going to go through the items over here that are the most important. So we're going to start with the account button at the top left, and that is going to slide out an account menu. I want to start by clicking on the profile link. So you can see that this fake student has uploaded a nice fake picture of himself, and you can do the same. When you click on your profile link in the account menu, you will see to start with just a generic head icon. And when you hover over it, you'll see this pencil icon come up. You can click on it, and that will allow you to upload a profile picture. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see this edit profile button. If you want to, you can put a little profile, a little bit about yourself. It is nice in an online class when you might not really get to see your classmates and your instructors face-to-face to upload a picture of yourself so people can kind of get to put a face with a name, but that's completely up to you. So next I want to click on the notifications link. Notifications in Canvas will be sent to you to your Camden County College student email address to let you know about whatever activities are occurring in your courses. And you have a lot of flexibility over what you want to be notified about and how often. Notice that by default, it will be set for your account. So all of these notification settings will be the same for all of your courses, but you could come in and select your courses individually and set your notification settings for each course. So for example, under due date, if you have this set to be notified about due date changes, this will let you know if your instructor changes a due date in Canvas. So by default, this is set for a weekly summary. So every week you would get one email with a summary about any due date changes or anything else that you wanted to get a weekly summary about. Due dates, I might want to know if that changes. If I have more time to work on an assignment, I might want to know that a little sooner than a weekly summary. So you might want to change that one to a daily summary. It's completely up to you. And you can always come here and tweak this at any time. So if you set these and you realize you're just getting pounded and inundated with notification emails, you can always come in and set them so that you're not getting them as frequently. The two that I would recommend, or actually 3 that I would recommend leaving set to notify immediately, and they are set this way by default. The first is an announcement. So instructors can send out announcements in a course. I would probably want to know either with a daily summary or immediate notification if I got an announcement from an instructor, because usually announcements are sent out when it's time sensitive and instructors want to make sure that you have that information. The other 2 I generally recommend leaving for immediate notification or at least a daily summary would be under conversations. So added a conversation and conversation message. That is going to let you know when you get a inbox message from either your instructor or a classmate. And those, again, you probably would want to know a little sooner than later. So those are the ones that I do recommend leaving to immediate notification. But again, you can come here and tweak this as needed. You will notice that by default, this is set to have all of those notifications go to your Camden County College email address. You can't change that, but what you can do is add an additional contact method if you would like. So still in our account menu here, if I click on settings, over on the right-hand side, you will see email addresses listed, and you can add an additional email address. So if you want these notifications to go to your work email or a personal email address, you can add that email address in here and have those notifications go to your different email address instead. So we are going to go ahead and move on down to the dashboard. We already did take a look at this, but I want to look at it in a little bit more detail here. So you will see any announcements that have been sent out by the college to all students. Those will be at the top of your dashboard. Over on the right-hand side, you will see your to-do list, and these are going to be a combination of any assignments coming up in all of your courses. And you can click right on the link for the assignment, and it will take you right to that course and right to that item. You can also quickly and easily see if you have any recent feedback. So feedback would be grades, or if your instructor has sent something back with comments, you will see that here as well. And then down at the bottom is, of course, where you will access your courses. So you will see your course tiles here. If you are signed up for a course that has not started yet and you don't see that course on your dashboard, don't panic, because that just probably means that your instructor has not published the course or has put a start date that hasn't started yet. Some instructors open their courses early, others wait until the first day of class to publish them. But if you have a course that started yesterday, you should be seeing it on your dashboard by now. You can always, if you want to make sure that a course is in your Canvas account, whether it has started yet or not, you can always click on the courses icon. It looks like a book over here on the left, and then click all courses. And you will see your current courses at the top. You will also see future enrollments, meaning courses that have not started yet, and you'll see past enrollments, where you'll see any courses that have been completed that you've taken. One other quick thing to point out here, these stars to the left of the course names control whether or not the course shows up on your dashboard. So if you ever wanted to remove a course from your dashboard, or if a course has started and for some reason you're not seeing it on your dashboard, you can come to click courses and then all courses, and then you can change whether or not the course is on your dashboard. If the course has an orange star, it is on your dashboard. If it has a white star, it is not. The inbox in Canvas is an internal messaging system. And you may hear your instructor refer to this as Canvas email. And I sometimes accidentally say that as well, but that's not really accurate. It's really not an email system. It's an internal messaging system. So the only people that you can contact through the Canvas inbox are going to be people that you are in a current course with. So that would be your instructors or your classmates. But if your instructor refers to contact them through Canvas email or says check your Canvas email, the inbox is what they are talking about. When you click on the inbox, you will see any messages that you have over on the left-hand side. You'll know if you have new messages because you will see a number next to the inbox icon. So you can see that this student has 4 unread messages. When you click on a message, it will pop up over on the right-hand side. You will see what the message is. And if you need to reply, you can click this arrow up here to reply to your instructor. I do recommend, when you are communicating with instructors through the Canvas inbox, make sure that you don't create a new message when you're responding to something that they sent. Make sure you click reply. Your instructors have lots of students, and if you just create a new message and say, okay, so what do I do next? They're probably not going to have a recollection of what you're referring to. So keep that thread going with all messages that are about the same thing together, just to make things easier for your instructor. If you need to create a new message to contact your instructor, you would click on this pencil and paper icon up at the top. You would need to select your course, and your current courses are going to be under favorite courses. And then you can type in your instructor's name into the field, or what's probably easier is click on the address book icon here. Click on teachers and you'll see your teacher. And then the rest of it does work pretty much like in emails. So you put your subject here, you put the body of your message here, and then you click send. Just make sure, I always recommend looking at your syllabus to see how your instructor would like you to communicate with them. With online classes, most instructors do prefer to keep all communication within the Canvas inbox, but some instructors don't like the Canvas inbox for whatever reason, and they might want you to contact them through their regular faculty email. All right, and then last but not least, I'm going to click on the help icon at the bottom. The college has paid for the highest level of tech support that Canvas offers. And so what that means is that we have live support 24/7, 365. And you have a few different options that you can use. So if you have a question about using Canvas that you think is probably a pretty common question, it's not anything real complicated, you can always start here by clicking on Search the Canvas Guides. You can just type your question into the search field, and then anything that is related to that question, any videos or tutorials or guides that relate to that question will come up in the search, and you can maybe find the answer that way. But if it's anything that's a little bit more complicated or you're not sure about, you can always do a support chat with a live person. Or if you prefer to just talk to somebody, you can just call the support hotline and you'll get a live person. And again, for my night owls in here, if you are working on something at 1 a.m. and you need some help, there will be someone available for you no matter what time of day or night. All right, so let's go ahead and click back on our dashboard here. Now we're going to take a look at a course. So I am going to click on this Introduction to Geology course. And when you click on a course, you will be taken to the course homepage. I can tell I'm on the homepage because home is black and there's this little line by it that lets me know where I am in the course. Now you'll see that there are other tabs here listed underneath the course homepage, and this could look very different depending on the course. So you might see a lot more tabs, you might see less. It just depends on how the course is set up and what items your instructor is using for that particular course. Now the homepage can vary a lot as well. Instructors could use the modules as the homepage, which is what this particular course is set up to do. And we'll look at what modules are in just a minute. But instructors could also have the syllabus as their homepage, or they might have a page created to use as a homepage. And so it could look different, but what you will see, regardless of what type of homepage the course is using, you will see if your instructor has announcements, you'll see the most recent announcements up at the top. And you will also see your to-do list for this particular course over on the right-hand side. And this is, again, like the dashboard to-do list, except it's only going to be just for this course. And again, you'll also see if you have any recent feedback for this course as well. So as I mentioned, this course is set up to have the modules be the homepage. I'm going to click on modules. So you see that the bulk of the course looks the same. You just don't have your announcements or to-do list. Modules are your instructor's way of organizing the course content. So most instructors will have a course orientation module, or maybe a start here, introduction module, something like that. And that's where you'll find all of your important beginning of course instructions and documents. So your syllabus, if it is a first day course, you should see some type of directions on how to access your textbook. You might also see a schedule. Those types of things would be in your orientation module. And then for most online courses, you will see a module for each week. So for every week, there's a separate module that contains everything that you need to read or view or do for the week. So it just makes things easier and more organized. Again, instructors can set things up differently, but the bulk, I would say, of our courses here are set up that way. If they are online, face-to-face courses might be set up a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and look at the types of items that you will see in your modules. If you see something that has a little paper clip next to it, that means that that is a file that your instructor has uploaded for you into the course. So this is generally going to be PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents, those types of items. If you click on the name of the file, you will see the document previewer come up and you'll be able to read the document within Canvas, but you could also download a copy. And so if you click on the link in the upper left-hand corner, you'll be able to download that document onto your computer or your device. Another type of item that you will frequently see in courses are pages. And a page has this little piece of paper icon. So pages in Canvas are another way that instructors can share information with you. So it could just be text, but pages are also a great way for instructors to share media with you as well. So you might see an embedded YouTube video. Instructors can embed videos of themselves talking. So they might have a lecture that they have embedded into a page. And you also could see external links and those types of things in pages. You may also see something that looks like a link of chain. That means that that is an external link that links to somewhere outside of Canvas. So those are your informational type items. Next, we're going to look at the types of items that you will have to do something with. So we'll start with discussions. Discussions are going to have these little conversation bubbles to the left. And in this case, this is an introductory discussion. I'm going to click on it to open it up. So discussions are really the main way that instructors have to allow students to communicate with each other, discuss topics, also ask questions, have group discussions about topics that are going on in the class. And the type of discussion can vary a lot too. So this is an introductory discussion. A lot of online classes, you may have to do some type of a get to know you or an icebreaker type introductory discussion, just to sort of be able to get to know your classmates a little bit and allow your instructor to get to know you and your classmates as well. And you will see at the top if it is a graded discussion and if it is, how many points it's worth. So in this case, this is worth 15 points. And you can see over on the right-hand side that it's due on February 3rd. However, instructors a lot of times also may have a virtual cafe type discussion or open course Q&A. What that is, it's not going to ever be graded or required, but it's there for you if you need to ask questions. And a lot of times your classmates might respond with an answer, and instructors will just kind of monitor it to make sure that no bad information is being sent out there. That would be something that is not required. But in this case, this would be a required discussion. And you always want to make sure for discussions that have due dates that you get your work in by the due date. So again, in this case, February 3rd, depending on how the instructor has the discussion set up, you may not be able to respond after February 3rd because it might be closed to further discussion at that point. And at that point, if your instructor does not want to reopen it for you, you would have lost the opportunity to earn those points. Something that you'll commonly see for graded discussions is that your instructor may have two due dates for you. One would be when you have to post your initial response to the topic, and then you might have to also respond to the post of one or two of your classmates by a certain date as well. So just be careful to read all of the information that is given to you in the directions for the discussion so that you can make sure you're doing everything that's required to get full points on it. When you are ready to respond to the discussion, you'll click the reply button. And that is going to open up a text box for you to type your response into. Now, if it's going to be more than a sentence or two, I do recommend opening up a Word document or a Google Doc and typing your response in there first, and then copying it and pasting it into this text box. The reason for that is that you cannot save as you go here the way that you can for a Word document, or a Google Doc does it automatically. So let's say you're typing your wonderful response and you're 2 paragraphs in and your power goes out. This would probably be lost. And I'm speaking from experience here, learning this the hard way. I had a glitch of something when I was in college, and I lost what I was writing. So just kind of a recommendation. You can always paste your work in here from another document. If your instructor has asked you or required you to record yourself, which depending on the class, sometimes you might have that option or it might be a requirement, you can click on this record upload media button. It looks like a little play button and a music note, and you can record yourself and embed it directly into the discussion. You will be asked to allow Canvas to use your microphone and your video, your web camera. So you would need to allow that, but then it will record you while you're speaking. You can accept it or re-record. And then when you post your reply, that video will be embedded right into the reply. But if you were just typing, you would just type into the box. And then you can click post reply. Depending on the settings for a particular discussion, the instructor may have it set up so that you cannot see what anyone else has posted until you post yourself, and that just depends on the settings. So if you're working on your response and you're not seeing any other students that have responded below, that doesn't necessarily mean that no one else has commented yet. It may just mean that the settings are so that you can't see their comments until you've commented. If you need to reply to a classmate, you'll see that little reply button in the lower left-hand corner of their post. And then you'll see the same text box where you can put your response and click post reply. So the next type of item that I want to look at here is going to be an assignment. Assignments have a little pencil and paper icon over on the left. And when I click on the name of the assignment, you'll see some of the same type of information come up. So this is due February 14th by 11:59 p.m. It's worth 14 points. In this case, unlike a discussion, you will see how the assignment is to be submitted. So in this case, a text entry box or a file upload, and we'll look at what both of those look like in just a minute. If the instructor has set the submission type to file upload, they may also have put in specific file types that are allowed. So in this case, it would only be a Word document or a PDF that you can upload. If you try to upload a PowerPoint to this assignment, for example, it would immediately tell you that that type of file type is not allowed. And then over here, you may or may not, depending on how the assignment is set up, see an availability date in addition to the due date. So you'll notice here that this is due February 14th, but it's available through February 17th. What that means is that you could still turn this assignment in after February 14th, but it's going to automatically be marked late. And depending on the settings for the course, you could have points deducted automatically if you turn in an assignment late. So always look at this due date, make sure that you get your work turned in by the due date. If the availability date and the due date are the same, that means that there is no grace period. After that time, you would no longer see this start assignment button. And so you wouldn't even be able to turn the assignment in through Canvas unless you contact your instructor and your instructor agrees to reopen the assignment for you. So it's always best to do your best to get your assignments turned in on time. So underneath this information is going to be the directions and resources that your instructor has provided for you for the assignment. So you can see your instructor may provide videos or external links. You may see a rubric if your instructor has set one up for the particular assignment. And you can look at that to see what you need to do to earn full points on the assignment. So always make sure that you look over everything so you know exactly what's expected of you. When you are ready to turn the assignment in, you'll click Start Assignment. And that is going to open up this assignment portal where you can turn the assignment in. So for this assignment, you could either do a text entry or a file upload, and we'll look at what both of those look like. So the text entry, basically the same as like the discussion. So it basically gives you a text entry box that you can just type your answer into directly. Again, just in case, I recommend typing it in a document that you can save and then just copying and pasting it into this box if that's what you're going to do. Just a quick note, never paste your assignment into the comments box. If you do that, your instructor is not even going to know that you turned the assignment in. When they look at their gradebook, it's going to show that that assignment has not been turned in. They won't know to even go in and look at the comments if they don't see an assignment submission. So make sure that you put it into that box, and then you would just click Submit Assignment. A file upload is probably the most used submission type. So in this case, you would have your Word document or your PDF ready, since those are the two types of accepted files on your computer. And then you would click Choose File, find the file on your computer and double click it. You'll see the name of the file there, and then click Submit Assignment. When you turn in an assignment on time, you'll see a little confetti celebration for you, and you'll be able to see over on the right-hand side that it was successfully submitted, and you'll see a date and time stamp. Now, you might see a new attempt button at the top, or you might not see anything, and that just depends on how many attempts your instructor has set for that assignment. If you have a need to resubmit an assignment, let's say you realize after you submit the assignment that you uploaded the wrong document or something, you can go ahead and do a new attempt, but I would always recommend letting your instructor know that you resubmitted, because your instructor will be able to see every version of an assignment or everything that you submitted to that assignment. Some only will look at the very first submission unless they've already spoken with you and agreed to look at a subsequent submission. So just communicate with them if they're not expecting more than one attempt. The last type of item here that I want to look at now is going to be a quiz. Canvas calls any type of test-like assessment a quiz. So it could be anything from a 5-point review quiz to your final exam, and it's still going to call it a quiz. So don't let that terminology throw you off. When you click on the quiz, you will see what the due date is, how many points it's worth, how many questions there are. Most of the time for quizzes and exams, instructors will have a time limit for you. Not always, but if there is a time limit, you'll see what it is. And then you'll also see if there is more than one attempt allowed. Now, a quick note about that time limit. As soon as you click this Take the Quiz button, the timer is going to start counting down if there is a time limit. And there's nothing that you can do to stop that timer from counting down other than submitting the quiz. So let's say that you've got 60 minutes to complete an exam, and 30 minutes in, you realize that you forgot you had an appointment. So you close everything out of Canvas and you go to your appointment. Even though you close out or shut your computer down or whatever, that timer is still going to keep counting down. And when the time runs out, it's going to automatically submit your quiz, and anything that you have not answered will be automatically marked wrong. So that's not to scare you, but just to say, make sure before you click that take the quiz button that you are in a good place to take the test, that you are giving yourself enough time, and you're going to be able to complete it. If you do run into a technical issue or something happens where you're unable to complete the quiz, my recommendation is to contact your instructor immediately. Most of the time, instructors realize that things happen and they will be willing to work with you and help you out, but probably not if you wait a week until after the quiz was due to let them know that you had a problem. They're probably going to be a little bit less sympathetic at that point. So make sure that you contact your instructor immediately if you do encounter any type of tech issue. So let's go ahead and click Take the Quiz. You will get a notification when you have 5 minutes left. Since this quiz only has a 5-minute time limit, that's why this already came up. You will also see a notification when you have 1 minute left. But other than that, you sort of just need to keep an eye on the time yourself so that you know how much time you have, and you'll find it here. Over here, you will also see a list of the questions, and you'll note that these are clickable links. So if it's a long test and you need to quickly get from question 1 to question 5 or 50, you can click on that number and it will take you to it. So I want to show you probably the most frequently used types of questions that you will encounter in a Canvas quiz. And these are not going to be anything mind-blowing. These will be question types that you have encountered outside of Canvas a million times before. So for example, this first one is true and false. The ocean appears to be blue to most humans. This is tricky. I'm going to go with true. A quick note over here, there is a little arrow that points to the question number. This is just for you to make a note to yourself to go back and check that question again before you submit. So it's pretty much just like circling the question number with your pencil on a paper and pencil test to remind yourself to double check it before you submit. It does not do anything to the quiz. Your instructor doesn't see this. It does nothing except serve as a reminder for you. Question number 2 is multiple choice. So this one asks when the War of 1812 was declared, and you'll note that you can only select one answer. It will deselect if you select a different answer. Question 3 is an example of a matching question. So you'll see 2 columns and you'll need to click on the drop-down menu and match the correct response with the term on the left. So in this case, it's asking us to match the following ocean animals with their type of skeleton. And in this case, I've got a crab, and I know that's an exoskeleton. Sharks have a cartilaginous skeleton, fish, endoskeleton. And maybe you learned something new today. Jellyfish have a hydrostatic skeleton. I did not know that before I started using this example quiz. Question number 4 is a multiple select. So in this case, you can select as many as you think are right. So in this case, it's asking which would make a good name for a dolphin. Well, I like those first 3 options, so I'm going to select those. And then question 5 is a good old-fashioned essay question. So in this case, you would type your response into the box. And when you are ready to submit, you can click Submit Quiz. You'll notice if you go back up to the question list, you will be able to see that you answered all of the questions. If you submit and you have a question that has not been answered, it will give you a warning and ask if you're sure that you want to submit. And again, it will submit for you if the time runs out. So I'm going to go ahead and click Submit Quiz. And from here, what you see could look very different depending on the settings that your instructor has for that particular quiz. So in this case, I have this one set so that the results show up immediately. So you can see here which answers were correct. And Fluffy is apparently not a good name for a dolphin, so I can see that that one was incorrect. Some instructors will have this information pop up right away. A lot of instructors choose to wait until everyone has taken the quiz before they release this information. So that makes sense. People don't want to take the risk of other students seeing a quiz that a classmate already took, but sharing answers and things like that. So that makes sense, but you might have to come back to the quiz to see your answers. Others might never make that information available. It's up to the instructor. But you will note that because there was an essay question, it's letting me know that some questions have not yet been graded. Canvas can grade multiple choice and matching and true and false questions. It cannot grade essay questions. So your instructor would need to come back here and add in the points that you earned for an essay question. Now you'll notice that there is this take the quiz again button, and that's because there's 3 attempts allowed for this particular quiz. Most of the time with exams, you're probably not going to have more than 1 attempt. But if you do, just make sure you know how your instructor is recording that grade. So in this case, it's letting me know that it's going to keep the highest of all scores. So I could take this 3 times, and whatever my highest score is, that's what will be recorded. So in this case, there's no risk for me to take this quiz again. And you will see here what your instructor is doing to get that score. There's 2 other options. So your instructor could instead have the most recent or the latest score be recorded, or the average of your scores. So just make sure that you're making an informed decision. If it's the most recent score that's recorded and you did well, it might not be worth the risk to take it again in case you don't do as well the next time. But in this case, I could take it again, and if I don't do as well, it's still going to just record the highest score. Okay, so next I am going to click on my grades link here. In the grades tab, you'll be able to see a list of all of your assignments. You'll be able to see what your score was and how many points the assignment was worth. And you'll be able to see if your instructor uses weighted groups. You can see the breakdown of that as well. You can also use what they call a what if score. So if I wanted to see what my score would be if I got a 14 out of 14 on an item, I could put that 14 in there and it will adjust my grade based on that score. So if you're kind of wanting to see where you're standing now and what you would need to do to get the grade you want, you can always come in here and put in the what if score. And then you can click revert to actual score to get rid of that. Another quick note is that depending on the settings, Canvas won't automatically put zeros in for missing assignments. So sometimes students that have assignments missing and that they have not turned in yet might think that their score is better than it is, because a lot of times instructors won't put those zeros in until the end of the semester because they're waiting, hoping that students get that work turned in. So you might think that you have a higher score than you actually do if you have missing work. So just a quick note there. Okay, so that is everything that I have for you today. So if you have any other questions, if there's anything that I did not go over, or if you have any questions about anything that I did go over, I do see one student mentioned not having the global navigation bar on the left side of the screen. Generally, that means that your settings, your resolution settings, or your display settings on your device are set up differently than this. So if you have an older device, or maybe if you have your screen set so that your resolution is higher, everything is bigger, then sometimes it has to move things around, and you might see this global navigation bar at the bottom of the screen instead of on the left-hand side. So just this is the way that it usually looks, but again, depending on how your device is configured and how your display settings are set up, it might not look exactly like this. Sometimes your device has to kind of move things around on the display to make everything fit in the screen. So if you're not seeing this here, down at the bottom of your screen and see if maybe it had to move these items down to the bottom instead. I do want to put up the contact information for the e-learning division. So if you email elearning@camdencc.edu, if you have questions about anything or any kind of issues with your online course, even if we are not the right people to help you with something, we can usually at least point you in the right direction. I do want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have a great day and a wonderful semester. And if there's anything we can do for you, just send us an email and let us know.